Okay, good. We are recording.
We are recording.
We are recording. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I should go.
Well, I should go.
Welcome to Who's Your Main. Of course you know our names. Of course you've been listening to us for 58 episodes till now. I am Jared, if you haven't been.
And I am Anthony, if you have been.
And together, we're going to have green eggs and ham.
Yeah.
Spin it. Well,
what are we talking about this week?
man, do we got a lot of stuff that we want to talk about, and I wish that our episodes came out daily sometimes, because just to kick this off, because we've been planning this before they did the Pokemon announcement on the 27th of February. But they announced Pokemon Winds and Waves. We got to see some more footage for Pokopia. That game looks really cool. And then the further information about Champions, not too much, but we got really excited about Pokemon. That's what happened.
Yeah. I'm obviously not always on that hype train, but when it does happen, when you and I kind of collide in that space, man, I feel like that is right up our alley. When they can nail that Pokemon, I don't even know what it is. Like, the presentation of that trailer was everything that I think you and I wanted, which was, we have a lot of complaints about how they handled the generation of Switch games, Pokemon games, and it just felt like the trailer answered all of our regrets and all of our complaints, and they were like, here, we're ready to go to the next generation. You and I are chomping at the bit.
Oh, yeah. Of course, the memes are killing us.
Yeah.
It's heckin' Wimdy with the palm bond. Oh my God! And Brout, I just like how angry Brout looks.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that that last one, I can't remember its name. The blue water. It shows you how much I care about the water type right now. But it still looks. It has so much flavor.
Yeah.
And color. I'm not gonna eat it. It just looks good. That sounded like I was gonna eat it again. Damn it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, we were planning on doing a Pokemon Gen 1. We were debating on what we should do. We were going to do a retro replay. You and I have played the Pokemon Gen 1 games to death. I mean, we were there, Leo. Remember? We played them a billion times as kids. Played them a bunch of times as we got older. Played Yellow, and then the announcement of Fire Red and Leaf Green came out, and we were like, "Oh yeah, I remember playing that." We dug out our copies, looked at it through our Pokemon, and that was a good memory lane. And then we're like, what are we gonna do? We can't just replay Pokemon Gen 1. I mean, what is there to gain for us at this point? So we expanded our horizons. What was the first thing you did? I think it was a Nuzlocke.
Yeah, that's kind of where my focus has been. I've been watching a lot of videos on that, and I think that's kind of where my head is at. Like, I want to make the game challenging, but I want it to be challenging in a way that tests kind of my skill and my knowledge, as even though it's been, multiple years since I've played. That's kind of where my head is at. I want there to be an added level of challenge, and almost make each gym feel like that is its own separate boss battle. Because that's what they are, for all intents and purposes. That's supposed to be the boss battle that, like, checks you, and then it's like, okay, now you can move on to the next zone and, open up new abilities, your HM moves, but then it also, at least in the Nuzlocke, it unlocks a level cap, which allows you to go to the next level cap, and I'm excited for that. So yeah, I mean, this series of Pokemon, this is right in my wheelhouse. I really stopped playing after Gen 3. I played Ruby and Sapphire and Fire Red and Leaf Green. I played those to death, and then when it came to the DS, I really kind of fell off, and that's really more where my sister played. But I fell off during this time period, and then I didn't get back in until Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, And it was kind of your excitement for the series that brought me back and was like, I used to love those games. I would love to get back into Pokemon. And then during the Switch era, there was nothing that was shown that excited me outside of Legends Arceus. I always mispronounce it, however you say it. But that one excited me, but I was never able to jump in because, again, the Switch was just handled so poorly. The graphics and the frame rates were so bad. So I'm excited for this. I'm ready to jump back into Red and Blue because this is kind of my wheelhouse. I'm excited. What about you? Are you doing the same thing as I am? Are you doing a Nuzlocke, or are you looking for more of a base experience, a base plus experience?
You know, we always try to do something a little different than one another, but I am trying to cover all of our bases. And, you know, I am kind of interested in doing a Nuzlocke, but I'm not sure. Just for the folks out there that don't know, Legends Arceus or Arceus, the reason it has two pronunciations is because in the English pronunciation, the Pokemon's name, Arceus, is too close to arse. So, you know. So they changed the pronunciation of that Pokemon in English to Arceus to try to move it away from that. But I think it's funny that they say it different every single time at this point. But when it comes to Gen 1 or just replaying any game that we've played to death, I usually, as you know, and maybe as the folks at home have come to know, I have a tendency to look for community-driven content that is passionately made by modders, ROM hackers in this case, to update that game in some way that makes it fresh for me. Because I just get bored. I get bored after a while playing the same thing. You know, it's like, this is an old, like, you know. There's some games I can do that because you can beat them so fast, but some games just have so much more time investment in them that I need something fresh to look forward to in the experience. So I went down the rabbit hole of Gen 1 ROM hacks, which there are a fuck ton. People love Gen 1, and it must be easy to ROM hack. I mean, it's 30 years old. It's on the Game Boy, of course. And so we looked all over for a ROM that made sense for what we wanted to do. And we found a really interesting one called Shin Pokemon for Red and Blue and Yellow and Green. And it basically just adds a little bit of quality of life and makes it so you can catch everything on the emulator. We could play it on hardware. I have all the games. I know you do. We were going through those old games, and so it'll be really interesting to play it. I'm looking forward to see like what all it brings to the table. I know one thing that I thought was really great was the field move slot for every Pokemon. You don't have to have an HM slave in this game, which is what plagued Pokemon forever until Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, really, or you know, Sun and Moon and Ultra. I can't even say it. The Ultra games. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty fucking pumped to play it. I know we were trying to put it off because we want to link it up with playing Fallout New Vegas, so that we're playing our two favoriteest series of all times outside of Final Fantasy VII, of course. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'll engage in that Nuzlocke. Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's indicative of how you and I play older games. I think you really enjoy modding older games, and you know I enjoy that too. But I think you really take it to kind of that next level where you enjoy digging through that stuff and finding that tailor-made experience that really captures the feeling that you're trying to get or the experience that you're trying to get. And I think the opposite is true for me, where the Nuzlocke is an experience where I love trophy hunting. I love going out of my way to play games in unique ways that maybe not everybody gets to experience, or in ways that maybe even the people who made the game didn't intend for you to play it that way. I enjoy that aspect of it. And so I'm right there with you. I think our branching paths are what are so exciting about us playing the same game at the same time, which is we can both have the same game and get two very different experiences out of it. So I'm excited. I know we were trying to decide like our starter and what version we were going to play and all of that stuff. In my mind, that is almost, we've done that 1,000 times. You know, I've made every choice. I've played both versions of the game. I've used every single starter. So I think this is a really cool way to, you know, kind of have that spice and liven it up for each of us. So I'm excited. I'm ready to finish up Mass Effect 3 and get on that horse.
Yeah, that fucking announcement almost derailed us from finishing Mass Effect 3. That is ridiculous. I was like, damn it, I want to finish. Wait a minute. Pokemon Company's like, no, it is time to return to form. Here is your Pokebelt, you bitch. For anyone who doesn't know what a Nuzlocke is, I mean, of course you could just Google it, but real quick, it's like playing honor mode or hardcore Pokemon, where, first of all, the first Pokemon that you encounter on any route you have to catch, and if you miss, you don't get added to your team. And number two, if any Pokemon faints, they're considered dead, and you have to either release it or box it. Which, if you've not played a Pokemon game, that means put that Pokemon into storage. You can't use it ever again. So you have to play really safely, because there's a lot of things that can go wrong in a Pokemon game. We were talking about this, which maybe this will be lost on our audience as well, but the risk management of Blood Bowl 2 came up in our personal conversations about playing Nuzlocke as we were talking about that difficulty challenge, which I don't know. It's probably not that difficult, but I mean, it's got to be really fun. You know, you lose your fucking guy because you have to name him, and you lose Jonathan. I don't know,
Steve.
You lose Steve to a boss battle or to a rap in the fucking Mount Moot. Holy fuck!
Yeah,
a lucky critical sends your favorite starter down the toilet. No,
I know that is something that appeals to me much more than it does to you. I love survival games. I love the idea of having to take those minute details into consideration when you plan something that's already challenging. I talk about it all the time. I think Fallout 4 has one of the best survival modes ever made, where you have to take like food, water, and medicine into account in like, well, I'm going out for a scrapping run. I need to go get some adhesive. But you have to keep those things in the back of your mind. You can never play reckless the way you could on normal mode. And so I'm interested to see how that plays into Pokemon, because I remember like little kid me in elementary school, I didn't spend my money on anything. I didn't buy potions. I didn't buy antidotes. I didn't do those things because you don't have to in the base game. If your guy faints, you put him at the bottom of the line and you bring in the next guy and you just stomp your way through the game with these over-leveled creatures. And I think having these restraints is really going to, like you said, test my game knowledge, test my ability as, one of the big skills that I've seen in the videos that I've watched is your ability to swap Pokemon in and out strategically. And so I'm really excited to grind it out, and as dumb as that sounds, like train at being a Pokemon trainer. I think that sounds awesome to me.
Yeah. Yeah, there's all kinds of variant rules. Of course, it's an honor system to play this. The community came up with this, which there's a Pokemon in Gen 3 that this challenge is whatever is named after, and it's named after Nuzleaf. I don't know where the lock comes from. I'm sure fucking Bulbapedia or something can dive further in there, but I remember when people were doing this way back then. And so I think it's really cool. There's all kinds of variant rules that people do. We were talking about how some people use rare candies, which is how you can use to level up your Pokemon like instantly. One rare candy equals one level. And some people do that and they'll play level cap. And so say the first boss is level 16. So all your Pokemon can be level 16, and you basically just skip all the wild battles. And we were like, well, that's not very fun. We were talking about this, and I was like, I can see after like 100 Nuzlocks of the same game and you keep losing, maybe you might do this so that you can at least get through the game once with a Nuzlocke. But man, part of the fucking scary challenge is walking through the tall grass and not knowing if you're about to get into a fight with something extremely dangerous or not. And I was equating that to playing Dragon Quest III. There's a certain cave when you're about more than halfway through the game where you'll be about halfway through this cave and these shadow enemies will appear. And at first you don't think they're very dangerous until they cast mass death on your party, which is absolutely devastating in that game. If your guys die in the field, you can't res them in the field. You have to go back to fucking town. So if you fucking get mass death and maybe one guy lives, and you somehow win the encounter, which did not happen to me, by the way, when I first encountered these enemies, they fucking wiped me and I lost all my progress. And I sat there, I was like, son of a fucking bitch! That was like fucking 2 hours! You just reload and start again. Them were the old days, baby. Instant death fucking attacks in video games. Anyway, yeah. Imagine walking through the tall grass. You don't know if the next encounter is going to be the last for one of your guys. I can't even imagine. You get poisoned in the field and you run out of fucking antidotes. Oh boy. You watch your Pokemon slowly die as you take each step and it flashes the screen. So-and-so has died. No!
I love it. I love the idea of that.
That'll be you.
Yeah, I'm sitting there. You're saying all that stuff, and I'm sitting there rubbing my hands together, being like, "Oh yeah, hurt me more, Snake."
Just imagine if there's probably a ROM hack out there that has this, where you can plant berries, and that's the only way you get healing items. Wouldn't that be interesting?
Ooh.
If you had to,
yeah,
or like some of the more modern things that are in Pokemon, where you could you have to gather like the Mankey sweat, so that you can distill a TM or some kind of special healing item. That would be... See, the potential is there for a truly great Pokemon game.
I think you're onto something. That could be a handshake between like Stardew Valley and Pokemon, where it's like you've got your home base.
I'm telling you, Pokemon needs to be thinking about that. That Pokopia game, which we've not talked about, and you folks, if you're a Pokemon fan and you also like Minecraft, look up Pokopia, or however you say that, and you play. I don't know have you looked at this stuff?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah,
it's incredible. You play as a fucking Ditto that then like turns into a person, but I think you get to edit that character, which is incredible. And then you got to like find other Pokemon and build up like a fucking place for the Pokemon to live, and then you can like. I don't know. It's like Minecraft. And I was like, what the? I want that. I don't have a Switch 2. Damn it.
The limiting factor in all of our fun.
It's pulled me back in. It's pulling me back in. Nintendo's like, where are you going? I'm like, who's going to go play computer games? No, you ain't.
I can't remember. Was that Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby, or was that Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon? Where there was like a little mini quest you did where you helped a police officer solve these crimes, and there were 6 Dittos that were turning into people, and you had to catch them and bring them in, and they were like people with Ditto faces. That was such a cool quest.
That was Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon. And they're fucking... my daughter was talking about this. She was like, why does Ditto have that face? And I was like, you know what? He didn't always have that face when he turned into a Pokemon, and I love that they do the face now. It's incredibly hilarious. What a great thing that it's like, that's a Ditto. Right there. I can see his dumb fucking expression. He's like, hi.
Well, it's like, that's like every person who learns how to, like when you're a kid, the first smiley face that you ever draw, it's like 2 dots for eyes and then a line for the mouth. It's so good.
Yeah, and a squiggly line. Yeah, me. Yeah, maybe we flash Ditto on the screen. Maybe I'll make Dittos of us. That'll be our red and blue portraits. It'll just be Ditto versions of us. I do need to make some new portraits because we should be having a Stardew Valley special episode coming out at some point, because that 10-year anniversary for that game had just passed us, and Concerned Ape, the developer for that game, was he did a little spiel, and then we're gonna have 2 new marriage candidates. Wow. I guess I'll play through it again. I don't know.
You know, he keeps putting out these updates, and I really do think that he knows what he has now. He's a drug dealer, and he's just slow dripping us content so that we could just like, you know what? We did our completionist run. I'm done with Stardew Valley. We got our platinum trophy. I'm done with Stardew Valley for a little while, and then he comes out with that update, and it's like, you're all right. I'm back in. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do another playthrough.
You know what I found out through Reddit posts, which I don't know. I need to verify this information. Maybe I shouldn't be saying it on here until I verify it. But there was a couple of people in the community that said that he hired a couple of the, or at least added them to his team, because Concerned Ape, from what I gathered, does he touches all the code at some point. He comes in and does stuff. But he hired the guys who were involved in Stardew Valley Expanded, which is a very popular mod. And there was another one I don't remember. I feel like I sent it to you and I forgot. Good. Let me just tell the folks that without telling the rest of the thing.
Good story.
Yeah, good story. Good.
Yeah, the modding community in that game is absolutely insane. The things that they're able to do, and obviously it all starts with the person who makes the game has to make it compatible with mods. And he's not only done that, but he's embraced the mods. And the community has just been incredible. I mean, literally anything that you feel like is deficient, I guarantee you there's a mod to fix it. And they just do such an incredible job at that. I mean, you know, not only were we fixing things that we felt like we didn't like, we were adding to the things that we did like and making them even better. I know in our playthrough, you had added in quite a few mining mods for yourself. You gave some very cool fishing mods for me that I thought were insane. The animated fish mod was a game changer. I mean, I don't know that I could play without that. We had more, obviously, but our poor computers couldn't handle it. And so it's literally...
Man, the fish shadows.
Yeah, those were insane, where you could tell what fish was in the river based on its shadow. That was so cool. I mean, it's literally, you know, I think the gold standard for modding is always going to be Skyrim, but I think Stardew Valley is right up there, you know, if not 1B, you know, it's certainly right there at 2.
Is Skyrim just a game engine at this point?
Yeah, a very, very old, outdated game engine, yeah.
Very, very good. You know, people always say that you can't play that game without mods, but we did just fine, and it was very fun. I played it with mods too, of course. What am I, stupid? Yes, the other one was the Smappy, the Stardew Valley API. It's the only way to use more than half of the mods is this mod launcher that somebody meticulously upkeeps, and what keeps everything running on the mod side of the community. And like you said, at 1.6, also known as the Modpocalypse, but a necessary evil. Everyone was quite aware that it was necessary, and Concerned Ape was very sorry, but he painstakingly went through his code and made it so not only would future modding be easier by a fuck ton, but future-proofed mods indefinitely. So by now all the mods are updated and good to go, and when 1.7 comes out, I'm sure Concerned Ape will once again work with his community to give the mod authors, the big ones that everybody plays, heads up on how to update for 1.7 whenever he gets there. I'm looking forward to that. I don't know. Yeah, that man always surprises us with more content than we deserve for free. Again, I think I would pay the cost, if not double. The game's like, what, $15? I would pay $30 for every update that he's done. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. I mean, when we jumped in and played, I think, like you said, I think we jumped in at 1.6, and that update was big enough. He should have charged DLC money for that. I mean, the things that he added, were absolutely insane. And it was just like, yeah, hey, here's a thank you for owning my game and sticking with me through all this time. And yes, I'm working on this other game, but my heart will always be here in this game, and I want to fix the things that still need fixed. And it's like, just blows my mind. And he, in this post that he just released about 1.7, he was talking about how the reason he did it was because there's a lot of characters who didn't get fleshed out, and the community has said they feel like these characters got left behind. And so he's coming back and fixing that in retrospect. And that's just insane to me. He's already made millions of dollars. He could have very easily been like, I finished Stardew Valley, I'm going to go work on this other game, and never touched it again. And people would have thought Stardew Valley was, a top 10 game of all time. But because he's adding all of these updates, it keeps it in the public eye, and it makes you want to play it. The game is so good, it's like whatever you want to do on this new run, there's your motivation. It's incredible.
I mean, we've sung the praise of this game, I think, many times during the podcast. I don't want to spend too much more time talking about it, but ridiculous that the Ginger Island update, which was an incredible amount of endgame content, came out in 1.5 and more was added to it in 1.6, and it was just an incredible update. I remember when we got there on our save, and I was just like, holy fuck. We are not even halfway through this playthrough, are we?
I just didn't expect, when you get there, obviously I'm going to spoil a little bit of it, but when you get there, you arrive on a beach, and I was like, oh wow, this is really cool. This is a nice little area that he added. And then you go over to the left, and there's like an entire second farm, and that blew my mind, with like little caves and stuff to explore and secrets to explore in there. But then you go back to the main beach and head north, and there's an entire like new dungeon to explore in the volcano. And it was like, it's literally like he doubled the size of the map in an update for free. And it was like, what are you doing? Like, how could you ever top this in a free DLC? It has to be one of the like best free DLCs ever given in a game. I mean, I don't know what else he could have done. Give us Robin marriage. Never mind. I know what he could have done.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. It just was an incredible amount of extra, which you'll find out if you watch our episode about it. But we spent 172 hours on that save, and it's a perfection run. So that means you have to collect everything in the game and do everything in the game. And we were very meticulous, and we had spreadsheets and things, and it was very fun. That's the Cliff Note versions of that episode, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Again, last week was some really incredible announcements for us, and you were talking just before we got on here about maybe this is just a hype train conversation, but what was that bit about the please stand by?
Yeah, so Iron Galaxy tweeted something that set the internet on fire for anybody who is a fan of Fallout New Vegas. There was a announcement that got everybody all hyped up. It originally was a image on a Fallout style map with a countdown timer on it. And everybody was thinking, oh, this is going to be a Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas remaster, similar to the one that Oblivion got. And that's what the countdown timer was. And when the countdown timer got to 0, all it was a teaser trailer for the Fallout TV show. And people were absolutely devastated. They really wanted a remaster of New Vegas. Some people obviously wanted 3, but most of the outcry was for New Vegas. And so Iron Galaxy posted this tweet that's basically the please stand by title screen, which is kind of like the Fallout calling card for we're getting ready to release a new Fallout. And, obviously it's not confirmed. This is just speculation, but people are losing their minds over that. And I would, if they can give Fallout the treatment that Oblivion got, that would be incredible. I would love that. I would sink so much time into that. That'd be awesome.
Man, our special guest from the Metal Gear Solid episode 0, he picked up that Oblivion remaster, repaint job. I don't know. It just looks so good. I just couldn't believe how good Argonians and Khajiit looked. Of course, me, the big furry player, I guess that's what I am. I just realized that I was like, the Khajiit and the fucking Argonians look so good. Good. Anyway, yeah, the rest of the races look good too, but I was just happy that the smashed-faced animal races got pretty well treated. I mean, they got treated very well in that game. It might be the best look for them, which was hard to top from Skyrim. I thought Skyrim did such a good job on the Argonians, which was a race I played a lot as a kid because I like to play. Well, everybody liked to play fucking Stealth Archer, but I like to play Sign of the Shadow Argonians because I kind of knew the lore, and I knew that the Sign of the Shadow Argonians were always assassins in the Assassins Guild. Of course, by then I'd played a bunch, Black Hand, whatever. We know. That's what everybody's saying. We know. Shush. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the allure of those games was always the story and, the bones of the game were strong. The problem has always been those games are always graphically very underwhelming. Even Fallout 4, the newest game, it's being drug back by, it's almost like it's a generation behind on its graphics. It didn't have ultra-wide support on PC. The frame rate was capped at 60, no HDR. I mean, there were just a laundry list of things that it didn't have, and you could go back to Skyrim and Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas and say the same thing about those games, where graphically they were very underwhelming. And so I think the Oblivion remaster, what it really did was it showed that the creation engine could be given a shot of life if you update it to modern graphics and the standard that people expect. Because those games are so fun because of their jank. We don't want you to fix the game mechanics. We want it to be, like you said, the blocky faces. That was distracting and ugly. But I think the way that the characters spoke to you, that was so unique and impactful. The way that you interacted with the guild system, those things were so cool. And they wanted, it was very, it made you want to dig into those things and find out the lore and figure out where they came from. And so I think that's a good way to do it. The best way to get a casual gamer interested in your game is to have very good graphics. And the way that you get somebody to jump back into a world that they have long since abandoned is by updating it. So I don't want to get too excited because, Fallout has disappointed me enough times to where it's like, hold your expectations back. If it is what you think it is, great. Fallout New Vegas absolutely deserves to be remade. And it should be remade, first. I think you can argue with a wall on this one. Fallout New Vegas is better than Fallout 3 mechanically. I think from a story standpoint, I much prefer 3, but mechanically, there's no question. New Vegas is better. So if you're going to bring something into the newest generation, it should be New Vegas. I think the thing that would hold it back would be, Bethesda is going to want to have a say in that and be like, well, if you're doing New Vegas, you should also do 3. But I could care less. I'll play all of them. I don't care. Keep re-releasing them. I'll keep playing them.
They know.
Okay, well.
No, I agree. I'd love to see some of the classics from 10, 20 years ago get remade all the time. I mean, not all the time. They don't need to be remade as our main thing that we're looking forward to. But you and I are big advocates for playing older games and getting in tune with where gaming came from and the history of gaming and things like that. But as far as graphics go, I'm on the other side here where they don't need to be super hyper realistic. I prefer highly stylized graphics that aren't as taxing on the system. And this might be a bias that's caused by my aged computer. That might be part of it. But I don't mind graphics being I don't know, so pristine. Unless we're talking like Square Enix games. I mean, that's different. They've set a precedent over the last 40 years. How many years? 30 years? Whatever.
However many
You
years.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. But as far as the Fallout stuff goes, I know, I mean, we're just hyped up. We're hyped up for Pokemon. We're hyped up for Fallout. And that was not because of the announcements, but because we were jacking ourselves up to do these playthroughs of these old games again. And then they were like, oh, by the way, you know those games that you guys love? Yeah, we're gonna psych you up. And of course, the same effect on Pokemon fans as Fallout fans. They're like, here's this thing, and we're like, don't hold your breath. But we're excited anyway, because what choice do we have at this point? We're sunk cost fallacy or something. You know, I'm in it with my Pikachu.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the thing that's crazy is we were literally just talking about, a couple of weeks ago about like, hey, we're getting ready to finish Mass Effect 3. What's the next thing on the horizon? And, you had the idea of like, let's go back and play our favorite games. Let's play Pokemon and Fallout New Vegas. You had never finished that game, and our friend John was talking about he wanted to do it. And so it was like, yeah, this is the perfect time. Let's do it. And then all of a sudden they're announcing all this stuff. And it's like, okay, sure, our phones are spying on us and giving us targeted ads, but now the ads are good. It's like, I'll take that. Yeah, you want my $60? You can have it.
Is this a simulation? Is it just simulating what we want? And we're like, man, I could really use a new Pokemon injection. They're like, no problem. Of course, Pokemon's been on a yearly release since its inception, I think. So really, I mean, did I really have to hold my breath for another Pokemon announcement? I think what I have to hold my breath for is for it to be good. Just like you're saying, you just want Fallout, whatever they're going to do, it to be good. Don't break my heart one more time. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Exactly.
I'll go back and I'll play ROM hacks until I'm dead if the modern stuff can't do it for me. Come on, baby. Pump it into my veins. Anyway, we're always on the lookout for all kinds of this is just going to be a little segment, I think, to talk about these games. Once again, these games that are shooting for, what do you say? Shooting for the king, you best not miss, is what you said prior.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Stardew Valley is the perfect example of one that not only is king slayed, we've said that to death, that you don't call farming sims Harvest Moon games anymore or Story of Seasons game anymore. You call them Stardew Valley likes, which is insane to me. But also fine. I mean, it distilled out some of the best things about those games. And I've been searching around. Of course, many of these I've either played the demo or I'm just watching. But I'm always highly interested in games that are Sonic-like, because a lot of these games started as probably a fan project, and I think that's one thing that you and I always talk about is quit making fan games, bro. Just fucking turn your own IP, turn it to your own IP, and then put it out. 20XX, 30XX, that was cool. Stardew Valley, that was cool. What are some other examples off the top of your head?
Yeah, I mean, it's the games that I think are the best example of that. Maybe they didn't dethrone the king, but the one that I always go back to is that Graveyard Keeper game.
Oh yeah,
I think that's a really good example of like an indie game that took two things and kind of smashed them together, which is, it's very clearly a Harvest Moon, Stardew Valley type game, but then instead of trying to build up the town, you're trying to build up a graveyard and a church, which is right up my alley. That's my jam. The big thing that I think that game did was it had automation, which is kind of like a controversial subject in those type of games. But it fits really well because the automation comes in the form of zombies. So they're these brain dead things that you get to do the monotonous tasks that you don't want to do. I think that's hilarious and a very cool way to make that change. And so those are the type of games that I like. That's right in my wheelhouse. Those kind of take a game and instead of trying to match the tempo or the art style or the direction of the game, it's that game but zombies, or that game but like macabre, and that stuff. That's my jam right there. And so I really like that. I know I'm gonna have to pull it up real quick because I didn't prep this.
Oh yeah, no.
But there's a game, a lot of games that are like this, but sort of that Lemmings style of solving a puzzle using your little creatures. The game is called Zombie Night Terror.
Oh my god!
And it's an indie game where it's in that same Lemmings style of like, we need to get through that door over there, but the door's locked. And then you raise an army of zombies, and then they, go through the level mindlessly and try to solve the mission. Like that's my jam right there. It's just like, because I think it's so hard to match the quality. An indie game, it's so hard to match the quality of a polished title, especially when you're trying to dethrone, a game like that. And so if you go in a different art direction, a unique, personalized art direction, I think that for me that takes a lot of the weight and stuff off of it. But yeah, I mean it's hard for me to enjoy that stuff because so much of my time is not in that space. I don't really like the indie game trope of everything is going to be roguelike elements. Procedurally generated world and stuff like that. Those things are frustrating to me. It's just so it's hard for me to live in that world. But yeah, I think if instead of trying to copy, like one-to-one copy and be like, we're going to improve on the mechanics, I much prefer if you change the art style but keep the mechanics very, very similar. So that's kind of my preference.
Oh yeah. Just to name a few that I've watched, I've played demos of, and think they're on the right path, because some of these games are long dead or maybe possibly won't be made again. I think a good example is will we ever see another Smash Brothers? I don't know, but if you look at Rivals of Aether 2, hey, it might be right there. Rivals of Aether had been around since Stardew Valley's start, and this game is just heating up. I played a little of it, and it's got a lot of the elements that people like about those Smash clones. I don't know if it could dethrone Smash. Smash is just so big, but I was checking out. The one that I want to talk about is the Bobo Bay, because man, if one of the most missed opportunities from the Sonic franchise is not making more Chow Gardens or standalone Chow Garden games, and we've got a couple on the horizon or that are out. Bobo Bay being one that I played, and I thought it was incredible little Chow Garden game. But the other one was the Star Garden, and I'm just very interested to see what happens with that kind of stuff. I like to see people trying to improve upon the form of the masters, because that's when we find that spark that turns into Stardew Valley, And like you said, that distilling out what made that game fun. Sometimes I think that the big companies lose sight of that. What was fun about that? A really great example is in the history of gaming is Majora's Mask. They don't know why that game was good, and so when they ported it to the 3DS, they fucked it up, and people were very upset about the port of that game to the 3DS, even though it had updated the graphics, it had changed a lot of the physics, and that was part of the problem. They didn't know what was fun about it. So I think that can happen, especially they kind of lose touch with the gaming community. But then, you don't want the gaming community to fucking pour it on to the devs too much. You don't want them to be like, okay, what do you want? Have it your way gaming. Well, just make your own fucking game, like So I don't know. I'm very much interested in watching indie games and looking for indie games that, or maybe trying to do something new too. I mean, I don't really talk about those. Maybe I'll look through my list and see if I have any things that did do something unexpectedly new to gaming. But as of right now, I think that's all I have for this week. You got anything you want to add?
Yeah. I mean, just kind of, I want to jump on that last point that you made, because I think that's really important, which is just really quick talking about the idea of when you try to change a game. Yeah, I think one of the big problems is when you make a game and it explodes and it's hyper popular, that goes to your head, right? You're like, I made this cult classic. I made this thing that people love. I know how to make great games. And then, like you said, they want to go back and change the things that made the original thing great. And I'm going to use an example that I know is going to get you all fired up, and we're right at the end.
What are you doing?
Star Wars, the original trilogy. George Lucas changed that movie so many stinking times. It's so far away from the original idea and design. So different than what it originally was, because he thinks he's a genius. He thinks he knows what he's doing, and he thinks, like, I know what's best for Star Wars. Same thing you were talking about with Legend of Zelda. They thought they knew what was best for Legend of Zelda. The fans are the people who know what's best. The people who love the content, the people who grew up on that as kids, and then that was like a foundational piece of who they are and like their mental image for the game. That's who it's for. And so I don't have a point I'm trying to make. I'm just trying to reiterate what you're saying, which is, sometimes you get lightning in a bottle, and it's impossible to recapture that. Once you pop the cork off and you let it free again, it's impossible to catch it twice. And so I guess Stardew Valley is an example of a game where they keep making changes, keep adding these kind of retroactive changes to characters, but every single time the community loves it. They love the changes. And so I just think that's incredible. Once again, tip of the cap to Concerned Ape and what he's done. And then kind of on the flip side of that coin, a kind of middle finger to the 3DS Zelda games, because I did play those and they sucked.
What the hell? Okay, you didn't play that other one. God damn it, you got me. You fucking 3-shot me there. What are you doing? What are you doing?
All right, well, see you guys.
Yeah, right. Okay, so first of all, I don't think Disney knew what the fuck they were doing. Uh-huh. Maybe Lucas was right. That's all I'm saying. And as for the Breath of the Wild, obviously it's fine. People love that. I'm not saying any more piece on that, but 3DS Zelda game, what the fuck?
I didn't even bring up Breath of the Wild. What are you talking about?
You fucking said it.
No, I think you heard what you wanted to hear.
Now listen. A Link Between Worlds was on the 3DS, and it's like a fucking Link to the Past fucking sequel, and it was pretty good. If you've not played it, it's pretty good. If you've played Link to the Past and you liked it, and you like 3D Zelda games that are still reminiscent of the over the top, not the Ocarina likes, and the Breath of the Wild likes. Like this is more like stuff we saw on the Game Boy Advance, which were reminiscent of, once again, A Link to the Past. And you know what? We'll do a Zelda thing later. You got me fucked up.
I got him all worked up.
You did that on purpose.
I got him all worked up.
You did that on purpose. The other thing that they put on the 3DS that was fucking awesome was the Triforce Heroes. It's a 3-person Zelda game. That game was awesome. That was like a third installment of Four Swords, which Four Swords originated on the port of A Link to the Past to the Game Boy Advance. They added this 4-player mode, and that was fucking fun as fuck. And then they made a standalone game, Four Swords, and that game is just like, you fucking took my fucking rupees, you piece of shit. You're gonna fucking die. Okay, let's get the puzzle done. Hold on, I'm knocking this fucker off the cliff again. That was the experience. Me and my brothers just fought the entire time. You're supposed to like pick each other up and throw each other over puzzles and shit. And we were just throwing each other in the fucking hole and fucking stabbing each other until you get all the fucking rupees. Because then it grades you at the end. It's like, who got the most rupees? Who killed the most guys? What is it? That's the other thing. We'll leave you with this, folks. Why do Nintendo games that are supposed to be couch co-op fun always the most rage-inducing things that you can play with your friends next to Monopoly? You know? What's up with that? Somebody write in. Somebody comment below and tell me. I'm done.
Comment down below if what board game caused more chaos in your house. Was it Monopoly or was it Risk? Because in my family, it was Risk.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, Risk. Okay. Folks, we'll see you later because we got some conversations.
Okay.
I'm gonna be angry in private now. Goodbye.
See ya.